about.
Clean it off and change your affirmation every week.
You can.
You know,
and going back to, I want to piggyback off of what you said about the children that are in schools that are usually the problem child, and how you have to speak affirmations into them. You have to speak positive thoughts and healing in their spirit. It also goes back to big pharma, because usually, and not to always blame things on the corporations, but if we're looking at the research, we know that certain vaccinations harm certain people. So, for example, there's research that supports the fact that MMR shot hinders Black boys. And then me working with Black children, I noticed that in my class, generally the people who are having these issues, and the children I work with are so young, they're still so very young that they can't yet be diagnosed. So they're under the ages of, I think you can't be diagnosed until like 5 or something, but they're under those ages. So these are children that haven't been diagnosed yet, but you will see that if you speak to these children in certain ways and you tell them, these children who you think have autism or have, behavior problems, that maybe it can come from, big pharma and corporations. The problem starts there, so then it can kind of follow them throughout life. These problems, because then kids end up on certain medications, and then they end up, in certain groups and categories as the problem child, versus if you just speak positivity into their life, or if you would have left that MMR shot out of their life, then chances are, you never know, but chances are that they probably, would not have to be labeled as the problem child. So it starts the holistic lifestyle starts from the moment you are the seed. So even how your mom is taking care of you when you're inside of the womb, how she takes care of herself before you are even conceived.
Yes, that is a big thing. And that I hope that when everyone goes back to rewatch this, women, men, I know that you pride yourself on being the seed, you lay that sperm, but the only thing you do is give gender. That's the only thing you do. Women, from the time you are in your mother's womb, you are carrying your seed. So your mother is actually carrying her grandchild. So what you think, the energies, the vibration, what you think, what you eat, how you react, the things that you do, you are already feeding that energy. You're already feeding that to the next generation that comes after you.
That's why they say some curses are generational.
Right. That's where you get generational curses, because the grandmother is carrying her grandchild as she carries her child, because especially if it's a daughter, because that egg is already there. The eggs are already there. Sperm is only giving gender, but the egg is there. So you're carrying everything that child, those vibrations, this negative energy, negative vibrations, you are sending that to that child. That's why when you have generations of children, I have a 3-year-old granddaughter. That girl is IG, Facebook crazy. I mean, she was born to be in front of a camera. It comes natural for her. And the reason it comes natural is because her mother was on the front phase of social media. This is things that, yes, they are actually learning this. It's coming to them naturally. That's why they say, God, these children are so much smarter and quicker than we were, because that seed was already being carried. He was already sending that information to that seed.
That's just like me personally. I know that I am such an emotional soul, and that's fine with me, because I know that crying and, all that stuff is a part of cleansing. You're cleansing your soul. But I will say, my mom always tells me, she always says, you cry so much because when I was pregnant with you, I cried every day. And it's so true. Like, I am a crier. Like, I will cry and take anything. I see something, I can, whether I'm happy, like if I'm super elated, I can cry off of being happy. Not just that, like, not, or I'm one of those people that if I get into a fight or I'm really angry, I might cry. I don't think I'm weak just because I'm crying. Okay? It's just a part of me because of being in my mother's womb while she cried so much and she went through so much. And even the generation, my grandmother went through so much while, while that seed of my mother was in her. And then I was there, so it's like, it's generational. So it's important that we, as soon as you find out, like you said, it's not a quick fix, it's a lifestyle. But as soon as you realize how to make your lifestyle better, you're then making your lifestyle. Once you heal yourself, you heal all the women around you. You heal the generations to come. So it's very important that you embark on this holistic lifestyle, not just for you, but for your future children and grandchildren.
Exactly. And we spoke about putting together dis-ease, okay? Disease is a dis-ease in your body, okay? And what you think and what you say. Now, if you have a family member or you have suffered from some form of cancer, they tell you try to stay positive, try to, release yourself of anything that's a stressor, because this ease feeds off of stress. It has to do with the enzymes in your brain and what it releases into your body. It causes those cancers to grow. Again, that's when you're dealing with your affirmations. That's when you're dealing with what you speak, how you think, how you deal with distress in your life. And that's where life coaching really comes in, because it teaches you how to deal with things that stress you, to be able to balance out certain things in your life. But when you're dealing with it holistically, it's a process. Somebody, if you are an aggressive driver, you're just not automatically not going to be a non-aggressive driver. Okay? You may tell yourself, okay, they just passed me, but you have to believe that. You have to believe that, okay, somebody just cut me off, it's not a big deal. So you really have to start believing these things, thinking these things, and saying these things to yourself, and feeding yourself where it becomes natural.
As much as possible.
Yes, because a lot of dis-ease in your body feeds off of negativity. So whatever is causing you stress in your life, you want to be able to learn how to deal with that stress differently.
I remember when this tumor first started to arrive in my body, and I started calling different holistic doctors just to see how they could help me and aid me. And I called one lady that I heard her I was watching something at Queen Afua. She was doing like an interview, and they left a number, and then that sent me to call somebody else. So I ended up calling this lady. And when I called her, I told her briefly a little bit about myself. And I told her that I just had recently got over a breakup, or I was in the midst of like breaking up with my ex. And she said, well, I am not going to treat you, or I'm not going to give you this, that, and that and tell you to cure your body until that breakup is completely done, until you're completely not talking to that person anymore, because little do you know, that tumor is growing as long as you're staying in connection with that negativity. She was like, so anybody who says that they can cure you or they can help you is just trying to take your money right now, because you need to cure your mind first. You need to get rid of that toxic relationship first before I can try to help you. Because I'm not just going to take your money. I can tell you anything, but I'm not just going to take your money. You got to heal your mind first before you can heal your body.
And that's, again, and you guys are going to hear me speak about my book from now until, but that's why journaling and writing is so important. Because when you're journaling and writing, you see you see what you've gone through and what you've accomplished. People say, I'm not where I want to be, but God is still working on me, whatever they say. How does that saying go? I'm not where I used to be. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. You really need to identify where you used to be so that you know where you are. That way you can start releasing whatever that relationship was,
And one thing that really helped me with that, like going back to, just like you said, journaling, going back to Queen Afua, because that book, I'm telling you, Sacred Woman was like it healed my whole life. But even in that book, she has also a page where any relationship that you have dealt with, or any toxic, whether it be, intimate relationship or friendship or a family relationship, whatever type of relationship it is, she has you write out basically how that person made you feel and how you choose to get rid of that person or that feeling or that toxicity out of your life. And so she said you write this out and then you burn it. And so writing definitely helps. Writing that out and seeing it on paper, what is affecting you, what is causing you pain, what is hurting you, that definitely can kind of put you in a place to see what it is that you need to attack so that you can then cure.
Exactly. And burning it, that would be something that goes back to some of our African traditions. And I would say when you burn it, you need to speak over it that you're burning it out of existence, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And you want to make sure if you're going to burn something that you no longer want to exist, that you definitely speak into it, that you're not burning life into it, that you are destroying it, that you're causing its death, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Because you have to be very careful with those things, because fire is life as well. Fire can destroy or fire can breed life. So you want to be very clear. Now we're dealing with intention. Okay, so when you're dealing with intention, that's speaking over yourself. That's speaking what you want to exist in your life. This is holistic living. It goes far beyond eating. It is your whole self, mind, body, and spirit. Your soul is everlasting. Your soul is what keeps you generation to generation. It identifies you specifically, who you are. But your spirit, your mind, and your body, you want to make sure that trinity is balanced. Or for some of those, you want to make sure that your chakras are all energized and balanced. It's not just one thing. It's like your car needs an oil change, a tune-up, and tires, and you only get an oil change, and your sparks aren't working, and you get a flat tire. You know what I'm saying? You need to do all oil. Right. You need to do all three to keep it running and driving.
Your body is a machine. Like, we forget that sometimes. Like, your body is you constantly want to be able to go. So if you constantly want to be on go, you have to constantly feed your body the things that it needs to be able to go, and that's not just food.
Exactly. Now I know you gravitate more to Queen Afua. I gravitate more to Ayala. Now the Ayala you see today on Fix My Life is not the Ayala that I was introduced to in life in the late 80s and 90s. Ayala is a Yoruba priestess. So it is mind, body, and spirit.
So this is a different Ayala? Or you mean
no, it's the same Ayala.
Oh, okay.
But
I didn't know that she was a Yoruba priestess.
Yeah, she's a Yoruba priestess. So I was introduced to Ayala on a spiritual level. And when I say introduced, I'm just talking about into the lifestyle that I was living. She used to be on a radio station, an AM radio station in Philly. And that was in the late 80s. And at that particular time, going back to the children, that's when they were really putting our Black boys on Ritalin. And there was a lot of discussion back in the late 80s on where we were going with this Ritalin thing and diagnosing our Black boys with ADHD, ADD. And there is a book, I can't remember the author, but the name of the book is Destruction of Black Boys. So you guys go to your bookstores, go or Amazon, dig that book up. And that book was written back in the 80s, early 90s. And it talks about where we are now. And if you are a parent of a child, especially a Black boy or Black male or young man, king, you will see the process that we have gone through, where now it is common that so many of, I don't want to give a percentage, but so many of our young black men have been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD.
Oh yeah, they definitely tried to do that to my little brother when he was little. They wanted to put him on all types of medication. My mom said, "You think Chris Brown ain't have ADHD or Usher or something? You gotta to dance like that. You gotta have some type of energy going through your body constantly." So I'm not. She was like, "No, maybe he just needs some activities. He needs some sports." And he was in every sport. My brother didn't play every sport, and he's now thriving at Morehouse. And one of the most people look at him like, "Wow, he's so amazing. That's your brother. Like he speaks so well. He's so intelligent." But yeah, at one point y'all thought he couldn't sit still, and y'all thought that he needed Ritalin, and he didn't. Like that's just a way to bring down our black men.
Absolutely. And one day I will talk about my son. As much as we knew, we fell into that system. But there's so many other things that were involved with my son's issues too. But we fell into that. But most of our young men. Well, let me go back a little bit. My son started school at 2.5. They went to an African-centered school, which is called a Shule. In African-centered school, they did not spend their entire day sitting at a desk because our children are not meant to sit to learn.
Yep.
You want to find what their purpose and their craft and their ability is. So they spend a lot of time being active with their hands and their bodies, and learning their academics at the same time. My son started at 2.5. At that particular time, when he started school, he knew his name, his address, his parents, his phone number, his ABCs, his 1, 2, 3s. He knew how to add, he knew how to spell his name and everything else. So by the time he reached kindergarten, they had to skip it because there was nothing they could teach him. Now he's a June baby, so he would have already graduated at 17. Now he was to graduate at 16 because they had skipped him because of divorce and all of that. And he eventually went to public school. They pushed him back. When they pushed him back, and I have a piece that I wrote in regards to that. He became disruptive, and then he became a problem. And as time went on, he became part of the system. And that's what happens to so many of our young. I have a student now. He is considered disruptive because of the school that I teach at. They do have a lot of patience. Like I said, I don't want to take anything from it. They have a lot of patience because they use a lot of African principles in this charter school. But he is disruptive. I have to pull him a lot, sit down and talk to him because he writes his little rhymes and his lyrics and everything. And right now, because I do ELA, he hates reading. And I said, look, you're going to be a successful entertainer at some point, which means you're going to have to read contracts. If you can't read that contract, somebody's going to take your money.
Right.
So I need you to read this packet today so that you can be able to read that contract when you become a big entertainer. When he reads that contract, it takes him this long, and I trust me, he has not gotten under 80%. But it's harnessing that energy that he has because he will just sit there, write his little rhymes. He fidgets with things. Because
he's really highly intellectual.
Right. He's
on a whole nother level. That's just like my sister telling me her son is and he's in school and he's been having trouble with this kid in his class. And she was telling me, she was like, this child that he's having trouble with is one of the smartest kids in the class. Like, he's so smart. I just don't understand why he's so bad. And I'm like, that's because what they're teaching in his class, he's already further advanced than that. And so now he's bored.
And it doesn't stimulate them either because in African culture, when you look at a child, you look at what their purpose is. And you build and feed their purpose. So what we have here is a standardized way of learning and teaching, which doesn't feed every individual.
Right.
So a child gets left behind because you're teaching them something that's standard that is no interest in them. Every child, every person is not meant to go to college because some people use their hands, some people use their body, you know. And it amazes me, you know, we go on social media and we have all these boss chicks, these kings and these queens, but somebody has to build the fucking kingdom, okay? That means you have to have somebody that's good with their hands. You have to have somebody that can speak. You have to have somebody that can pray over you. You have to have somebody that can speak to the ancestors. You have to have all these different areas. Everybody can't be king and queen. It's just not what it is. It's not going to happen that way. It's not meant to be that way. So we dealt with, and we're coming to the end of the show, we've dealt with our holistic eating habits. We dealt with our thinking, okay? Our spirituality. Spirituality is a big part of it, and whatever your spiritual belief is, and I'm going to just keep this short and brief, you have to remember that no matter what church, synagogue, or mosque you go to, whatever yoga you do, if you don't pull it from within yourself, because that spark and that God is in you. You are a creator. You are, you know, you can't read a Bible and say that God made you in his image and not believe that you are a substance of God.
Right.
That you don't have the power.
You can't believe in the creator. You are a creator. You create.
Exactly.
We create life every day. Exactly. And so you can't believe in, how can you believe in the creator and you can't see the creator within you? Right.
So you have to know that your internal self has the power. You know, going to church and allowing a pastor to place hands on you and speak something over you, and you don't know what his energy is or what he's going through or she's going through at home. You don't know. And your head is your crown. So that's why they say, don't let nobody touch a baby's head. Keep baby's head covered. That's your crown. That is your godly space. So you have somebody placing their hands on your head. You don't know what they're feeding you because you don't know what they've been through today. So they may be feeding you their negative energy or taking some of your positive energy from you to keep themselves going. You can do that on your own. Because trust and believe, I talk to myself all the time. I'm always driving down the road talking to myself. I'm in the shower talking. I talk to myself probably more than any. They probably like, who is she talking to? Does she have
at the end of the day, studies show that you may speak, what is it, maybe like 20 words per minute, but in your mind, you're speaking 120 words. So you're speaking to yourself not even twice as much, like 5 times as much as you're speaking out loud. And you are that person that you're always constantly having a conversation with yourself. So that's why it's so important to always be speaking positive, because if you got these negative thoughts running through your head, you're constantly thinking that and feeling that. Like, those are things that you are constantly intaking and then feeding that energy out into the world. So it's like, what's in you, you have to always keep that positive.
Right. And 2 things. I had posted a meme. Let me say this first. One of the things that I learned in Islam early on, if it does not, and I tell my children this all the time, and my son tells me all the time, Mom, every time I've gotten in trouble, you said, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. And he said, I second guessed myself and did it anyway. And that is the majority of the time that I got in trouble. If it does not feel good in your spirit, in your soul, you know when something doesn't feel good. But it's when you start questioning whether or not you should do it, and you do it, that's when you get the wrong result.
Your intuition is your God. That's God in you.
Right. So I'll say this. I had posted a meme on my page that I had created. And when you speak to your inner self, it is always gentle and is always kind. It doesn't argue and fuss with you. Your inner self is your God in you. It is gentle. It is kind because it is guiding you to do what's best for you. It's like a mothering, nurturing spirit. So you follow that guide. It's when you start questioning yourself and then you bring in worldly elements.
You want to ask everybody's opinion. Well, what do you think about? Exactly. No, the answers are inside of you. That's like my friend now, I'm going through so much. And I said, well, I can't really. She said, I just need my mom, because her mom passed away. She said, I just need my mom, like, to tell me, or I just need that motherly figure, somebody to just tell me what's right. I said, no, it's in you. Maybe you need to go sit at the park. Or you need. She's like, I do that. Okay, well, keep on doing it. Like we said earlier, it's not an overnight fix. It's not a quick fix. Like, if you can't hear yourself, you need to go to a quiet place where the phones aren't distracting you, where, you know, cars aren't around beeping, and you need to go to a park where you can meditate, where you can just hear you, because the answers, everything that you need is inside of you. God is in you.
Yes. Silence can be some of your best medicine. stillness and oneness with yourself, removing everyone and everything from around you. But I will say,
I need one of those days. I ain't even gonna lie.
Well, I'm a water baby. I always got to go to the waters.
Yeah, I need Cascade Park. Cascade, if you are in
beautiful.
Atlanta, Cascade Nature Preserve is like my favorite place when I just feel like I need peace. I need to hear myself. I need to listen. I need to think. I need to hear God. I go to Cascade where that waterfall is. And it's, I heard actually from Tassili, you know, Tassili's Raw Reality.
Yes.
She's having a retreat coming up soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send you the information. But she actually, the first time I went to Cascade Nature Preserve was when she had that retreat, and she talked about how our ancestors used to go there during slavery and just kind of, that's where they would go to kind of guide their souls and feel like, you know, they were not in such conflict that they were in. So when I go there, I do feel a sense of peace, and I do feel like the ancestors, I can hear them, I can hear myself, I can hear God. So go to a quiet place. If you are in Atlanta, try going to Cascade Nature Preserve or Roswell. There's a waterfall there where the water flows. And so go to these places where you can just find some peace.
Yeah, in the Johns Creek area, Alfreda Johns Creek area, when I was living in that area up that way and working up in that way when I was doing a 9 to 5, I ended up somewhere on the Chesapeake, and it was a real refreshing area as well, because you can stroll right along the Chesapeake. When I was up north, I used to go to the Delaware all the time. I prefer a beach because I need that energy of the water, because it's constant, and because I practice.
Definitely, if you can get to a beach, go to the beach.
Go to the beach. That's salt water. Yeah, I just came back, but I came back. I told Annanake, I said, "Girl, I need another vacation. I need to get back to some water quick, because I don't know what's going on. This next full moon, which is tomorrow, is coming in Libra, and it's bringing some kind of conflict." And I want to say to all my Aries people, breathe, because, whoo, from everything that I've seen and I've read and I've listened to, we are going to be on 10 tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, for this Libra full moon. So we are going to be slicing people with our tongues, and we are going to have to calm ourselves, Aries, because we get ready to go in. So now that you know, you can do better. So you speak that, take a breath. Some things you just going to have to let go, and you're going to have to deal with after this Libra full moon that's coming tomorrow, because we may be a little harsh. So think before you do. Just keep your mouth closed and say, you know what? I'm going to come back to you on that. Give me a minute.
It's important to know what the universe is doing, so that you know how you can react to it.
Because if you believe in God, and He created everything with a purpose. Everything that is living, everything that exists has energy. So if it has energy, it has a pull. It's giving and it's taking. It's giving and it's taking. So,
stars, the moon.
Right. So you have to know when to give, how much to give, and how much to take. You know. I know you guys see me on my phone because there is a business I'm supposed to shout out today, and I told them I would shout them out, but for some reason I cannot pull up their IG page. I'm trying to. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay, so we're good to go with that. So we've dealt with all three aspects. We would love for you guys to really bring them all together, you know, because you want to do one with the other. It feels good when you get the information. We get excited. I know when I first started studying Islam some 30 years ago, I was excited with all the information, and me and my ex-husband, we had books on top of books on top of books. I mean, our library was dope, you know, and I was reading constantly, and I wanted everybody to know what I knew now. I wanted everybody to have knowledge, and I wanted everybody to do what I was doing right now. And plus, I'm an Aries, so for me, everything is right now. But it's a process. And now that I'm older, I realize that it's a process. Everything takes time. And if you want it to stick, it's going to take time.
Be patient with yourself.
Right. Be patient with yourself. You didn't get here overnight, so it's going to take time to get back to your full and your greatest self. Because your greatness is already in you. You don't have to be greater, because everything you're meant to be, the Creator already placed in you. It's just a matter of peeling back the layers and getting back to your greatest self. So
knowing how to use your powers.
Right. So just be patient with yourself. And so the business that I'm shouting out today, and I had this lock on my phone, right? So every moment I move away from it, it locks back up, right? So it's King and blah, blah. I do that with my students. They're like, huh? I'll be like, well, I just messed it up. Just wait. Give me a minute. Okay. Kings and Gents Accessories. These gentlemen are out of Atlanta, Georgia. They are two young men. They are, I hate to say little boys, but they're little boys. And they have, oh my God, they have ties and they have different accessories for young males, for your sons. They have these accessories for your sons, and you have to go to their page and check them out. You have to support these young men. I mean, they have their little suits on with their ties.
Kings and gents.
Yes, kings and gents. Okay, kings with the S, the word and gents. Yes, if you're on our Facebook page watching, and if you're not,
we'll share their information.
Yes, we will definitely share their information on our IG page and our other pages, and also within the Black business groups or the Black Wall Street groups. I'll be sharing their information. But these two young men, they look like, how old they look like? They're about maybe 8
or 9 or something.
Yeah, they look like they're about 8 or 9 years old, and they have their own line of young men.
So I bet who's ever raising them is living a holistic lifestyle by speaking greatness into them, for them to even know that they have the power to create this.
Yes, yes. And they also, I mean, they identify with their culture. So a lot of their I can't get the word out. Accessories are culture, kente, or some type of cultural fabric. I have my moments. I really have my moments.
Be patient with yourself.
Be patient with myself. Well, you know what? And that's the area that I have to be patient with myself.
Yeah.
Because real quickly, you had the tumor. I was bit by a deer tick. 2 of them. Up north, we have a lot of deer. They're in our backyard. You know, they roam freely. And it was one summer, we had just moved into our new home, me and my daughters. And the next weekend was my granddaughter's birthday. We had 2 cookouts back to back. So I'm out there mowing the lawn and we're grilling. And I had got bitten by a tick here and then bitten by a tick here. When they say you get bit by a deer tick and it's a bullseye, it is literally a bullseye. It is red circles with a bullseye. I seen that one. I went to my doctor. My doctor was, I want to say Hindu doctor. I don't want Indian, Hindu, whatever. So he knew my state of mind. He knew I don't take stuff. I don't do anything, you know. But he said, this one, you have to take this medicine. The medicine was horrible. Take it for 30 days. Oh, my gosh, it was horrible. As I was taking the medicine, the other bullseye popped up on the other side of my arm. CDC says once you take the medicine, you are cured of Lyme disease, which is what the deer tick transfers to your bloodstream. Okay. I know my body very well. So I know after I took that medicine that things started changing in me, that the CDC will say, no, that's not from that deer tick. One of the things that changed, because I was doing public speaking and hosting events at home, is my speech. So they call it foggy brain, where my mind moves faster than my mouth can catch up with. So that's why I've gotten in the habit of when I get caught in my words, blah, 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 blah. Forget it. I'll get to it in a minute.
It's the deer tick fault.
Catch up, because my brain and my mouth are not keeping up with one another at the time, because my brain is trying to get out something that my mouth can't keep up with. But that's one of those things. You know, there are a couple doctors in the country that deal with treating it, and they deal with treating it holistically, but they also have certain meds, because what the Lyme disease does, is it lives dormant and it knows how to hide in your blood cells.
Oh, wow.
So you can have a blood test now and it says that you do not have Lyme disease, and you can have a blood test some years later and it shows up again. So they believe that when it shows up again, according to CDC, that you were bit again. But it knows how to lay dormant in your blood cells. So it is an interesting thing. And since I'm not a deer, you know, it has invaded my human body. But
and makes you go brr, brr, brr.
Makes go brr. There's a couple other things too. Because I started wearing glasses at 45. At 44, I was fine. I could see in the dark. I could see anything. I go to the eye doctor. I said, we had one of those weather alerts on the TV, when it comes across the bottom. And I'm looking at the wall, I'm looking at my TV. I'm like, gosh, I can't see anything. Everything is a blur. It can say run like hell, and I don't know what it's saying, right? I go to the eye doctor. I said, oh, no, D, your eyes have been degenerating for years. I know my body. I know myself very well. I did not go from seeing perfectly last year to not seeing this year.
Crazy.
This is one of the side effects of the Lyme disease. She's like, no, D, you've done well. You're 45 years old. You went all these years with no glasses. It's time for glasses, and you need bifocals. Are you kidding me? You can't be serious. I go from being able to see the bifocals. No. But this is your girl, Ms. D.
This is your girl, Lady T, the finesse queen.
And you have been with us, BInfluenced Live on the nexthotsingle.com. We'll be back next week with myself, Lady T, Lady Precious, and Annanake, AmunRa. And we may have a special guest for you because we're looking for a new male host. So we're going to be bringing in a couple guys here, see if they can flow with us. We got a couple guys on Facebook from different posts that I have put that said they could deal with the 4 women. Some of them said they had 8 sisters so they could deal with us. I'm not sure about that, but we'll see. So this your girl. Peace. We out.
Once again, beautiful job, ladies.
Thank you.